used to the mechanics, the gameplay, and I'm hoping I can kind of speed you up a little bit faster. So liking the video is great, subscribing is great as well. So first off, you start like this. You don't have any items, you don't have anything, you've made your character, you're just kind of drop down. So the first thing we're going to be going over is kind of the controls and also the basic necessities so that you can begin building. So obviously A for jump, pretty straightforward. You can press Y for your inventory, and then you click RB and LB to kind of switch between the differing menus, and then you use the D-pad to kind of select things within those menus. And then in the bottom right corner, you've got options such as like splitting your stacks, dropping items, throwing them on the ground. And this kind of area is easy to kind of take advantage of because you got your compendium, which will kind of give you details on certain things. And there's your bird pal will kind of guide you along, but not really. And then you can see your skills. Your skills improve for doing things. So your jumping skill will improve as you jump. So like the more you jump, eventually you see like a yellowy streak thing that's like you've leveled up. So pretty basic. Clicking in the right stick will allow you to crouch if you need to do that. And yeah, that's kind of like the quick basics. Let's talk about the hotkeyed options. So as you can see in the top left corner, I've got a bunch of hotkeyed options, and you can see in my inventory it's sort of mirrored. So if we take something like, I don't know, this antler piece here, and we move it there, you can see it's now hotkeyed at the top. So, you know, not helpful because obviously an antler isn't as good as my flint axe, but you get what I'm saying. So for quick hotkeys on certain objects, let's go over to, let's say the antler axe. You can click up on the D-pad to bring out said item. You can click up on the D-pad again to put away said item. You can also go like, okay, I've got this item, kind of want the hammer, you can click up on the D-pad and the hammer will switch over. And the hammer is how you build objects and items, but we'll talk about that a little bit more later on. One of your essentials is the first thing you could build by pressing Y and going over to crafting is probably your stone axe. You can use it as a weapon, you can use it as a tool for collection. So it's kind of an essential thing, and you need wood and you need stone to be able to get that. So other mechanics that are kind of helpful is like, okay, so if you do LB, you get like a bit of a block, and then if you tap B, well, LB is kind of going, it's a dodge, but notice that it uses your stamina at the bottom there. You can click in the left stick to run, and you can jump and you can run. Just be careful in the environment because there's like sliding and stuff, like some of the steep ledges over there, kind of where I've got my marker set on is kind of a little steep and you can slide. And you gotta be careful about trees falling down, as the trees can fall and kill you. Yeah, seriously, the trees can cause extreme damage, which is not good. So RB is kind of like your punch, and that's the same thing if you have like a weapon. You can press RB to attack. And then you've got a more secondary aggressive attack if you press RT, and you do like a big swing, so that's kind of a good hitting sort of thing. So it's a lot of like, you know, kind of moving around and stuff, and being, you know, kind of flexible in how you're fighting things as well, since you can't really like lock on and whatnot. Another good option is you can press LT when you have an item in your hands to kind of like backslot it. I also quickly wanted to just add here that you do occasionally need to save manually. The game will save occasionally and it'll let you know when things are saving, but you can kind of get a manual save going on. You can also see the controller scheme right here if you want to be able to use that, as there is a chat functionality option, which can be helpful if you're chatting with people and not directly, you know, communicating in other ways. And it would be very helpful if you go to the graphics options, turning on performance, I think would be a big benefit to you, and maybe adjusting the depth of field, as it can be kind of hard to see some things, and there is some accessibility options as well. Some other quick movement tips that I think are very helpful is if you hold LB, you can do alternate things. So you can do LB plus the back button, and that will open up your like text menu if you want to try to communicate with other people, so that you can enter text. And then you can also use the option to basically zoom in and out. So LB plus up on the D-pad will allow you to zoom in, and down on the D-pad will allow you to zoom out. So you can kind of change your, I guess you would say, perspective around your character by holding LB and then zooming in and out. So I think, you know, that would be helpful if you are trying to get like more of a zoomed out perspective of your character, and more of an awareness around where your individual actually is. So that is helpful. if you are trying to basically do some different movement type things within the game. So it's basically, as you can see there, LB is the alternate, or LB plus something is the alternate function for anything like that. The game does have like a cooking and eating system. We're just going to show this off here. So what it does is it introduces health and stamina, and you can only eat so much of like certain things. Okay, we're already getting a fight going on here. So, you know, boars are kind of an essential for sort of food and for some like, you know, items and whatnot. And if you die, it's not a big deal. You just go and you pick up your stuff again from your dead, I guess you would say carcass. Well, you get like a tombstone that you can go to, and you can pick up your things. Just kind of remember to re-equip things. So some of the essentials you'll be looking for on the ground when you first start out. Sorry, we gotta kill occasional things. They're a menace. Yeah, okay, that thing's dead. One of the first things you're gonna find is A, you want wood, B, you want stone. So stone looks like this. You press X on it, you pick it up, it kind of plops down. Make sure you actually do pick it up. It like kind of catches to you, but like, you know, sometimes things like wood for things you like dismantle and that don't always go into your hand. So that is kind of an item and an aspect that you should keep in mind. The other thing is wood. So wood you'll first find as branches. So there we go. I got wood, good wood, hard wood, easy wood. So there's wood, and that's in my inventory, and now I can use it to craft, you know, by moving over to the crafting menu and just selecting craft, and then you'll have a crafting item pop up on your screen, which is nice and easy. Once you've created something such as an axe, you step up to the next phase of wood collection. So you can collect from these kind of like small trees, and then, you know, it's just easy, bigger blobs of wood. And then from there, you can start cutting down full trees and getting even more wood. So we're going to show off and kind of demonstrate that, because like I said, it's actually sort of dangerous because it'll fall down and it can like literally hurt you and whatnot, so be careful. And then you just keep cutting it down and it breaks down to even smaller bits of wood, which is very helpful. And yeah, and then it becomes two different pieces depending on how big the log is, and then eventually you do get more wood, which is, you know, kind of important for things. And I hope this is kind of helping you, because like I said, when I first jumped in here, I was like, what is going on? So another thing is how you unlock stuff to build. So you gain access to new crafting options the more you collect items. So if I collect, I don't know, let's say wood for the first time, then I'm able to unlock new things I can build with wood. But we also need a workbench. So a workbench really only functions if it has a roof around it. So you got to create a workbench, and then you got to kind of create stuff with it. It's a very weird system. It sounds silly. So I would recommend going about and finding a structure that is already pre-existing, like this house here and that house there. That house over there, Kevin made. It's a brand new house that we created. Well, he created. I, you know, kind of set the foundation, and then he completely rebuilt it. It's actually a really, really nice house. We did some streams and stuff of this if you want to see some more elongated gameplay. But yeah, that's kind of what we were doing here. Is taking pre-existing structures and then using them to our advantage. So there's a lot to actual house building within this game. So we've got the workbench here, and like I said, workbenches, they need a roof. And then you can see you can build a lot more things. And you gain more and more things as you basically collect and gather resources. You can click in the right stick too in order to repair your objects. So repairing things is obviously better than kind of breaking stuff and whatnot, or making new things all the time. And then there's the upgrade system. So if you need to improve how powerful your items are and what they can do, you get certain upgrades to certain levels as an option. I should also mention, alongside stone and wood collection, it's a very good idea to also gather flint, because flint is very helpful for a lot of things as you keep building. So workbenches are kind of upgraded by building things like aesthetic things, the chopping block, the tanning rack, and whatnot. Another important part of the game is sleeping. So for sleeping, you can sleep at night. If everyone is in your game, like if you're doing multiplayer, since this is a multiplayer focused game, you all have to be sleeping at the same time, Minecraft style, in order to go to bed. So you can have someone quit, everybody goes to sleep that has beds, and then they can rejoin. Your beds also need to have a level of comfort to them. So we need to have a cozy fire going on. You put wood in your fire, and then if you're building a cooking station, you actually have to put the cooking station over the fire. You have to actually set it, otherwise it doesn't work properly. And then you can put cooking things on here. So for cooking, you actually have to watch the food and make sure it cooks. Because if it overcooks, you will get coal, which, I mean, you might want, but Yeah, so I actually find that if you just keep tapping X, it'll say like no room, and eventually when it's done, I mean there's a visual indicator when it's done, but I find if you are worried about it, just tapping X will eventually like just pop it off and you'll have cooked food, which is nice. There we go. So cooked boar meat. Otherwise it will turn to charcoal. Another thing that's really, really important is you need ventilation for your smoke. And I've never seen this in another game. It's really bizarre. This seems to be the only one that I've come across. If you guys know another survival game with smoke stuff, I'd love to know because it's fascinating. So you actually do need to have like a roof, or you need to have enough space for the kind of smoke to ventilate, or you will hurt your character. Like you'll take damage. You'll die of poison. Just like in real life. But yeah, so you need ventilation, or you need enough space that the smoke can kind of be distributed around. So we're going to take a look in the building here that Kevin made, and you'll see that, and the smoke is good for resting too, because you want to rest up, you want to keep your stamina going. So you'll see that like the smoke is distributed in a healthy way, and it's not building up, and it's not killing you. And you have to have like your bed in a cozy spot near, said thing. And yeah, that's really, really quite fascinating. And another layering is building. So building itself is like kind of a pain, but it's also a really, really cool sort of thing in this game because you can build cool little settlements. And I think we got like a nice little thing going on here. So to start actual building, you need to have a mallet. So you can repair stuff if you'd like to. It's sort of like placing is RB. And repairing is, RB. And then it's LB to break stuff. And I don't want to break something, but you basically highlight it with the right stick, and then you press LB to destroy it. So that is an option if you would like to, build or repair or anything like that around your house. I kind of left it all ugly because I like the aesthetic of it, but anyways, it doesn't matter. So building-wise, you're actually kind of limited. So it's not going to really show here because I need to have an item. So you press B to open up the build menu, and then you get miscellaneous, crafting, building, and furniture. And you get more objects and more things to build with the more stuff you have. But let's pull out a wood floor, for example. Sorry, I gotta kill this thing. They're such inconveniences. It's like, we need to build a big wall. Kind of like our one buddy over there has the wall going on. We need to get that going, but, one thing at a time. So we got the wood floor selected. And you can see that there's a perimeter around. So your workbench actually only goes so far, and you have to build within that area. So you have to create multiple workbenches, and you'll see that we've got a workbench here, so that expands the perimeter around. So you kind of have to create multiple workbenches if you want to keep building your terrain outwards. So it's sort of like an element of, hey, you got to build within the area you get, and you got to be smart about how you're building things, as you only have, this set amount of space that you can build within. But as you can tell, we built multiple workshops, so it's kind of an overlap, and it allows us to build more things. So the game is a little tricky for building, and it's really kind of a pain sometimes. So it's magnetized, but you can also click LB and RS to turn off the magnet there. So that's an alternate placing option. But basically, if you kind of hit the edge of an area, it'll sort of snap to it a little bit. You gotta remember that you also need to be able to level areas out as well. RT and LT will allow you to sort of rotate the object around if you wanna, have it in any sort of way. And that's how we were able to create sort of like angled wood, because it is, for something where they give you a lot of tools, it is very hard to get things actually flat. And that is where the hoe comes into play. So, yeah, okay. So we've got the hoe, and the hoe has a similar thing with the B for, kind of a build menu. So the hoe has level ground, raise the ground, or pathen. So if you want to create something ridiculous, you may need to raise the ground, like I did there. So let's do just a quick demonstration here. We are going to level the ground. Let's do it right here. We're gonna just level the ground, and you usually get, you get this like little bar, and where you're standing is where things will level to. And keep in mind, it'll only level so much because it's just trying to level a terrain area. And then you can raise the ground, but you will need a certain amount of items. And then you can, raise the ground like I just did. And you can create a path if you want to, too. That's the last option. But yeah, here we are, kind of leveling it. Now, if something is too, like, unlevel, or it's not level, or you just can't level it anymore, or it's bumpy, or there's some other issue, you need to get, like, an axe, like a pickaxe. So you gotta go deal with, like, the deer god or whatever. And then you're able to actually further dig holes into the ground using this particular axe. So that in itself is kind of like the building aspect of the game, at least from a basic level. And you can build all kinds of things. You can make signs, you can make torches, which I highly recommend so you can actually see. And then the cooking stations are kind of important. And like I said, these items here are how you kind of do your upgrading of your bench. So they are more aesthetic things as opposed to things you directly sort of interact with. But your main stuff is going to be like your campfire, your bed, building walls, building a shelter. Like, it's actually pretty straightforward for creating objects. Another thing to talk about are these, like, I guess you would say, pools. So this is a little thing that we were kind of experimenting with, is you can create, like, elevated stuff by using, you know, holes and stuff to build on, which makes a lot of sense. Now, with that, this game really is sort of awkward in, like, so, like, you can't, like, go up and down, which makes it a little difficult. Like, it's kind of a little hard and tedious to actually snap and build things. And I think when you start playing the game, you'll sort of be like, oh, yeah, no, definitely is. But it's something I want to say is just it's good to experiment with maybe doing some sort of foundation type thing. I think that would be pretty good and straightforward. And you get most of this stuff right off the bat, so it's like you have it available to you once you start building. And like I said, the more items you collect, the more things you get to build, the more things you get to create. And this might look really basic to some people, but I'm like trying to, you know, kind of teach the game and everything like that to those that are jumping in front.